It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast. It is 5 o'clock on the West Coast. It is the 31st of October in the year of our Lord 2024, Season 15, Episode 17. 686 times you have been welcome to the Clubhouse Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, and pro wrestling. Welcome. It's Halloween, and we're doing a show. Why? Because we can. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast, and something feels a little different. Can't quite put my finger on it. But I'm not alone. Don out on assignment tonight. He's taking care of the kids in his neighborhood. They always do a big Halloween thing at his house. So he's like, can I go do that? I'm like, go do that, man. We're going to hear about his trip next week with joining me with the girls. I can hear them, and I have no issue with that. He is my co-host. He's right there. Didn't even flinch. Got nailed it the first time. He's Alex, and we fancy. Look at that.
Yeah, well, yes, it was the girls, and I have my hand on the mute button, just making sure. So we'll see how today goes, because I have been asked to also help with the kids, but in this hoity-toity rich neighborhood, I'm pretty sure they just buy their own kids candy and tell them to sit on the couch.
Oh, you never know. This is as close to a costume as I do right here. This was a
but it is October 31st. It does have your annual tradition, which never stops being jarring. It just never does.
It has begun. And this year, instead of doing the odd number days, today is day 0. I'm going to do the even number days, because there's an even number of days in November so that I can end on the 30th. But it is officially tomorrow. It is Men's Health Awareness Month, which is why I do this. I grow the beard out every November. Guys, go get yourself checked, because we want to catch the health issues when they're molehills and not when they're mountains. It's very important. So that's why I do that. I think it's like my 10th year doing it, I think. Creeping up on it, something like that. Let us dive.
You've been doing it longer than you and I have known each other, I think.
Oh, yeah. Let's dive right into NCAA football. I thought, Alex, what we would do at this point in the season, instead of scrolling through scores, let's look at if the playoffs started today, because starting this year, we have 12 teams. So I'm very interested, because right now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 undefeateds in the top 25.
Is it that many?
Yep. 6 of them, if the playoff started today, would make the playoff. The 2 that would not are Pitt and Army. Now, of one-loss teams, you've got Washington State at number 22. You've got SMU at number 20. And you've got Kansas State at 17, Boise State at 15. And then 2-loss teams, Alabama at 14. Oh, by the way, there's 3 that would miss it, because Indiana sits at 13 right now. And they're undefeated. LSU with 2 losses at 16. Ole Miss at 2 losses at 16. What do all those 2-loss teams have in common? The SEC. And then Colorado, Illinois, and Mizzou.
Oh, you were pausing for me to respond to that?
I was indeed. So if we started today, you have a tie for 11th, which would cover.
I thought it was inherently known that it was the SEC. My bad.
I never assume a level of knowledge for anybody checking out this show. And so I feel like that we can be that. Sometimes we're that gateway. Excuse me, I had to cough. I had a cough button right there. We have a tie for 11th, which would cover the 11 and 12 seeds. The crazy thing is, one of them's undefeated, one of them isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson at 6-1, Iowa State at 7-0.
Well, one of them plays in the ACC. Yeah.
But my question is, would you put Iowa State over somebody like Indiana? Army, it gets a little weird. They've got Air Force this weekend, and I love that Air Force has kind of already redecorated the upper deck of their stadium to say Air Force. But
would
now,
you put somebody? I want to clarify just among the undefeated teams. Just of undefeated teams, I would swap BYU and Indiana. Indiana should be much higher, especially coming out of the Big Ten. As much as I hate most of those teams, it is a tough conference, especially comparatively. I would argue it's second best after the SEC. So Indiana should be much higher. I mean, have they just not played anybody and they're not giving them credit? Because last I checked, they beat Washington. They beat a Maryland team that usually checks in. It does not appear that they have big besides Northwestern, Nebraska, and Washington, but they do get Michigan State on Saturday, so that'll be a big test for them.
A&M at 7-1 currently in the number 10 spot. The aforementioned BYU in 9th. Notre Dame in 8th. I feel like Notre Dame, because they don't have a conference affiliation, join the Big Ten, that they have to basically win out if they want to get anywhere higher than this because of the larger conference.
Well, but we also know why Notre Dame refuses to join a conference. It's stupid. It's going to hurt them, but we know, but more specifically, their NBC deal.
Yep. The answer to all your questions is money. Tennessee at number 7 with 1 loss. Also Texas at number 6 with 1 loss, and that 1 loss dropped them like a stone from having a possible bye to being on the outside looking in.
Yeah, Texas, that was the biggest drop for a number 1 losing, especially against another top 5 team. That was crazy.
The Hurricanes, surprising everybody, still undefeated, sitting at 5. Ohio State at 4 with 1 loss. Penn State at 3 with no losses. Georgia with a loss at 2. Oregon now atop the list. So right now, your 4 byes would be Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, and Oregon, with Miami and Texas kind of holding on to that. We've only got 4 weeks left in the season. So I'm going to be kind of interested to see after this week how all of this plays out. Now, another thing, because of my bias, did you see the headline about the cocktail party this week?
I did not.
I think you're on a delay. Well, it'll catch up. After next year, leaving Jacksonville. 2026, it will be in Atlanta. 2027, it will be in Tampa. I do not know how I feel about this.
I don't like that.
The whole point was Jacksonville was the midpoint. And it's tradition. But as I said earlier, the answer to all of your questions is money. And M&T Bank Stadium.
Yeah, it's or you're basically an away game for everybody versus a neutral site.
Mm-hmm. Let's get into the NFL. A couple of headline updates. Stephon Diggs out for the season with an ACL injury. When I saw the line on tonight's game, and we'll get to that here in a minute, I was very confused earlier today. By the way, shout out to Pat McAfee. Did you see the Halloween costume?
No.
Full amusement park style panda bear, never took the head off the entire time I was watching for about a half an hour when I was getting my hair cut this morning. Don't know why he did that. But you know what? Pat can do whatever.
Because McAfee?
Yep. I would have been like 5 minutes in. I'd be like, this thing's coming off. It had to be just.
Okay, I'm going to flat out say it. Please kill the background.
Okay. It's okay. I don't know if that'll fix it or not, but we'll take a look.
I hope so.
Okay.
It's already running better.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. This is why we experiment with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Colts
Welcome
are
to
actually
the job.
Colts actually benching Anthony Richardson this week. You know,
I honestly think this one's more McAfee's fault than anybody else, too.
why so?
Did you not see him going ballistic about Anthony Richardson tapping out because he was exhausted?
No, I don't watch him as much as I used to.
Okay, so obviously his connection to the Colts, he's at every game when he's not predisposed to something else, has his field suite. So last week, Anthony Richardson had a scramble, was down on a knee on the sidelines and tapped the helmet, which anybody who plays knows I need a replacement.
Mm-hmm.
So Anthony Richardson basically admitted that after that, he was aghast
Yeah,
because
he
he
said
was
that in the
scrambling
post-game
for his
press
life.
conference. You just didn't hear the
But
match.
he said that before the press conference, and McAfee heard about it because McAfee, and he just spun it into this thing of I've never seen a quarterback quit on his team like that, and it's like, okay, I need you to dial it back or up the dosage. Take your pick.
Yeah, tap the brake a little bit.
But at that same time, as not Collinsworth, because it was somebody who wasn't spare. Cowherd said years ago, nobody cares if we're smart and reasonable. They want us to fly off the handle because that's what people tune in for. And I'm sure there's a level of it that's McAfee willing to crank it up to 11 at any given moment. But at the same time, he shredded that kid.
Let's get into last week. Let me ask you this because you are the commissioner of our Pick'em League. The percentage, the percentile, not the win percentage, but the percentile listing on our rankings. Is that on ESPN against everybody?
That is all picks submitted on ESPN.
Interesting.
Have
you looked at your boys' stats?
No, I have not. I haven't even looked at my own, to be honest.
Let me pull that up for you because, wow. While that's coming up, let's take a look at. Go ahead.
While Rob's pulling that up, remember, you can always join us every year for this competition. We do have prizes. If you come in first and you let us know who you are, we have lots of swag. We have lots of prizes, multiple things from Vegas. I don't think you're going to be able to catch up from week 8 on, but if you can, holy crap, I'll give you $100.
Never know. Currently in our fantasy league, both Alex and I won this week. So we're both 5-3. I am in 5th place. He has the tie break because he scored 71 points more than I have. But we're both top 5 right now.
Yeah,
in our fantasy
playoff or bust. Let's go.
I know we're getting close, and right now I'm predicted this week to lose by 7, but I'm not putting anything in that yet because Alex always tells me, do not believe that.
Yeah. Projections are somebody guessing. Maybe they use a computer, maybe they spin a wheel. Projections mean nothing, but sometimes they're just trying to be more of a guideline than they are an actual predictor.
So in our Pick'em League, Alex currently in 6th place, 62-60. You're above 500, sir.
I had to be after the cellar dwelling early on.
You had 8 correct last week.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the 72nd percentile currently.
I just saw what you were going to refer to.
Your boy is currently leading. I am 74-49 this year.
Killing it.
I am in the 99th percentile of ESPN. This will never happen again. So I have to enjoy it while it lasts. Because I only have a 1-game lead over the person right behind me. And then there's, I got a little breathing room with who's in 3rd place. And I made a surge in week 7, going 13-5. So, yeah, I saw that Tuesday morning and I was like, whoa. I am very happy right now. So we're going to see how it works out. Hopefully, I don't turn into the Chargers, but only time will tell. Last week, Thursday night, in a game that I didn't see coming, Minnesota loses to the Rams by 10. They were giving them 2.5. On Sunday, Eagles over Cincinnati by 20. I think all of us were taking Eagles plus the 2.5 on that. And then Cleveland. What are we doing? What are we doing, Cleveland?
Famous with Jameis.
Good Lord. And then quoting Eminem. Sure. But I no matter what I say, I'm never going to feel as bad as that kid that dropped the interception at the end. Every time I watch that clip, it breaks my heart because you have it right there. And it's like he took his eye off it like a millisecond too soon, and that's when the ball started to move.
That's how it always goes.
And Jameis gets the ball back on the same exact play to just launch one.
I love all the people that are like, wait, this was the offense that was possible with Jameis? Yeah, here's the thing. Jameis Winston has always been insane, but he's also been a phenomenal player.
The moment of the weekend for me, actually second of the weekend, I didn't get to watch a lot of the early games because I was out with our praise and worship team. We were doing some community outreach. I look at my phone, and my phone says Detroit hangs 52. And I went, I'm sorry, what? As they beat the Jets. I'm not sure, but I'm sorry, they beat Tennessee. I was looking too far down. I'm not quite sure, but I think Detroit just scored again. I'm not sure. I need to have this verified. I was like, oh no.
No, but here's the combination that you really need to see, because the number of people I know who were like, oh my God, Detroit scored over 50. I bet Jared Goff had a great day. 85 yards.
Yeah. Because they ran
when you're just running all over the place, and your specials teams is the best on the planet that week.
And the other thing is, when you have Jamar Gibbs at running back on your fantasy team. Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Did you see the Sonic edits of his touchdown run?
No.
I was dying laughing because, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery have eschewed the Thunder and Lightning tradition. They are Sonic and Knuckles.
Here for it.
So somebody edited it as if it was the Green Valley or the Emerald Valley, and it's got the music in the background for Sonic, and it's just rings along the sideline while Gibbs is running. So it's like, and he hits the goal line, and it's the sign at the end of the stage. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. I have to find this.
He jumped into the big ring, and then he winds up in the bonus stage. That was one of my favorite
bonus stage.
That was one of my favorite parts of Sonic, is jumping up into the big ring.
And then the half pipe.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you something. Speaking of things being animated of things in the NFL, December 2nd, I think, I want to go to there. Have you not heard about this?
Sorry, I'm trying to keep the microphone as muted because the girls are going absolutely nuts with tiny monsters.
Let me make sure that I'm right on this. Oh, December 9th. Monday Night Football. Bengals, Cowboys. Remember last year they did that overlay thing with the Toy Story bit?
Yeah.
This year, The Simpsons. Yes, sir.
Over under 40 or over under 47 dose on fumbles or tackles or anything.
I'm gonna say over because Homer's representing the Cowboys. And Lisa is representing the Bengals.
Oh, no,
and I'll tell you why this works for me. Because if you remember, there was an episode that they had before the Super Bowl where Lisa kept getting Homer's picks right, and he was gambling a ton of money and making a ton of money.
Yes.
That's why that works for me.
See,
so yeah, Monday Night Football, Bengals, Cowboys, December 9th. It's on.
Here's why I don't like it. It needs to be a Broncos game. And Homer represents whoever the other team is. So every time they score, we just hear, "Oh, the Denver Broncos."
Actually, I like Homer representing the Cowboys because we might get Colonel Homer.
Oh no.
Yes. One of my favorite lines in the history of that show. Your music moved me in a way that I haven't felt since Funky Town. I'm here for it. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Arizona.
We need Homer representing Mike McCarthy being big and dumb on the sidelines, where Bart is playing Dak, so he can just yell at the boy over and over again.
Arizona was getting 4.5, and they didn't need it, as they beat Miami by a point. The Jets getting 7, and that would have won it because they were giving 7. I'm sorry, I apologize. But New England wins by a field goal. Atlanta giving 1.5. Didn't need it because they beat Tampa Bay by 5. Green Bay giving 3.5 to Jacksonville. Jacksonville would have won you money because they won by 3. Because Green Bay only won by 3. Houston was giving 5 to Indy. Indy would have won it for you because they also won by 3. Chargers apparently not chargering yet because giving the Saints 7 and then winning by 18.
Have you seen how good statistically the Chargers defense has been?
It's not November yet.
I know, but they are 85 Bears level points against.
Buffalo beat Seattle by 3 touchdowns and was giving them 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
Denver giving 12.5 and still covered over Carolina by 2 touchdowns. Kansas City giving 8.5, but that was too many as they only beat Vegas by a touchdown. Might have been looking past them a little bit. The Commanders by 3.
Somebody on this show might have said that.
The Commanders by 3 and one of the greatest plays of the year.
Of any year.
Do you give the credit to Football Club or do you give the blame to the corner who was talking trash to the crowd, not realizing that the play had started until 6 seconds in, much less the protection for Jaden Daniels that he had 13 seconds to throw that ball?
It's an equal share because you still have to execute even on a scramble like that. But at that same time, the fact that it was Tyreek Stevenson who was the last one tipping the ball to the other team after jaw-jacking. Did you see the version of that from the stands behind the end zone with the Bear fans already celebrating?
Yes.
And all of them yelling at Tyreek to turn around. And Noah Brown just waiting with the basket.
Yeah.
Does nothing Sunday all night game.
Sunday Night Football. San Francisco giving 5.5 and wins by 6.
Yeah, but it wasn't that close. This is that backdoor cover that I've been talking about that worries me with big numbers.
And Monday night, I was robbed of points on George Pickens. I'm just saying. Pittsburgh beats New York.
Did you not win?
Well, I won, but I'm just saying, like, you're
building some bad karma there.
No, I'm just saying they need to look at that rule. Because
you're talking about the PI?
No, the 1 foot twice.
Oh, yeah, that one is an interesting discussion. I think that should count.
Yeah, because technically that's 2 feet.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if you can
have
one,
it has to be a left and a right. They just said 2 feet.
That is also true. I mean, if we're going to count it as 1 knee, 1 butt cheek, 1 elbow, 1 shoulder counts as in, 1 foot twice should count.
Like I said,
I don't disagree with it.
It doesn't say it's got to be one of each.
I wouldn't be surprised if that winds up being in the competition committee. Oh my God. Why did I just think of Zach Gowen playing wide receiver?
Oh dear.
please share that reference so that I don't look like an idiot.
Zach Gallen is a professional wrestler that only has one leg.
And is incredibly athletic.
Yeah. Very
phenomenal talent, but, hopping on one leg.
If you had 25 minutes in as the first unstable comment of the show, please collect your winnings at customer service.
One could argue that wasn't first.
Currently going on, Jets with the black helmets. I like the unis.
It's the All Blacks.
Yeah, I dig it. I'm here for it. They are hosting Houston. When I saw on McAfee this morning that the line, which apparently held Jets -2.5.
Actually,
I need our gambling expert to explain this to me.
It opened at 7, sir. It opened at 7.
At Jets giving 7?
No. I want to say it opened at Houston giving 7,
which would make
sense.
Jets
getting a touch, but there was a dramatic overcorrection to the Diggs news, along with the fact that Nico Collins was needing an extra week, the fact that a lot of Houston players are banged up, and the Jets, while playing terribly, are still relatively healthy. So what wound up happening was a complete seismic shift. Now, the other thing that we have talked about is what money comes in often dictates where those lines finish. And there's 2 cities outside of Vegas that move the needle more than anywhere else. And those cities are Chicago and New York. Now, you would think they're just the 2 biggest cities. Excuse me?
Would you say that's both teams in New York or just the Jets? Because I wanted to be
I said cities. I was referring to cities.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
So people in Chicago and New York love to gamble. And that's the entire tri-state area around there. So whenever one of the New York teams play, there tends to be a lot of money movement, especially when there's something like Diggs AC. Oh, that was close. Almost a block.
You're a little bit ahead of me. You're like 5 seconds ahead of me. That's okay.
Okay, I won't comment on anything then.
No, you're good because in this situation, I'm okay with it.
So numbers that you can throw out in a primetime game where there's no other competition oftentimes is when the Bears have a primetime game or either the Jets or Giants. Now, the difference is that the Giants have been terrible for so long that the needle moves in one direction. People have so much hope or want to have so much hope in the Jets, Fireman Ed, that the needle will move in the opposite direction when there's positive news for the Jets. Diggs being out was considered a dramatic shift. So a lot of money from New York came in on the Jets trying to jump on the touchdown underdog line, which wound up shifting it by 10 points all the way to being a 3-point favorite, back down to 3.5 or back to 2.5.
As long as 7's behind center, I'll take that 2.5 all day.
Give me Houston. Yeah. Houston's a better team. They have better coaching. I mean, I dare I say it, is Aaron Rodgers washed? I mean, he hasn't looked like Aaron Rodgers. Is he an all-time great? Yes. Is he an all-time wacko? Also, yes. But his physical play has not been great. I mean, they just put it up as 12 TDs to 7 picks. When's the last time you can remember a season ending with Rodgers having 7 picks? And mind you, I said a season ending.
And it's week 9.
Exactly. Like, people want to feel good about, they got Devontae Adams. Yeah, and
Dallas goes to Atlanta on Sunday. Atlanta giving 3, which makes this a pick'em. I'm surprised that I'm taking Atlanta this late in the season, but the Cowboys are in disarray. This team is chaos, and I don't know that they can win this game.
I will actually be taking the opposite side. I love the idea of getting 3 on the Dallas side, even though I hate the Cowboys fans. But the reason is, if you look at Atlanta's games through this season, they have beat up on bad teams and gotten smoked by good teams. Dallas is not as bad as the bad teams they've beaten. They're not as good as the good teams that beat the crap out of Atlanta, but they're good enough to cover and I bet win.
All right. Buffalo giving 6 to Miami in Highmark Stadium.
That feels like a good number.
Buffalo has been playing very inconsistently, but I think they'll play well enough to cover 6 points.
I think this is one of those games they have circled on the calendar because Miami is the closest thing to a competitor for them. And I will say this, Miami looked a lot better last week than I thought they were going to, even though they lost. I was expecting Arizona to win it pretty handily. Just because I thought it was going to be Russ.
I was just so happy to hear the fans cheer when Tua slid.
Yes, that was a good slide. Very good slide. I still wish he was wearing a Guardian cap, but here we are. But I feel like Miami is going to look better. This is a big number. It feels to me like it's going to be a 28-24 game, and Miami covers, but they don't win.
Cincinnati about to find out that the autumn wind is a Raider. Cincinnati giving them a touchdown. Joe Burrow saying going into this game that this is a must win for the Bengals. I agree with him, and I think they come out aggressive.
I read their record. Every game's a must win for them from here out.
They got more wins than
But with Macaulay Culkin behind center, they're going to be doing great things, especially when you look at it, what Cincinnati has done this year, and they've only done it a couple of times, but they've had a tough road of games. But when they face teams that are kind of singularly focused on offense, the way Las Vegas is now that Devontae Adams is gone, they have been able to lock in and compartmentalize those offenses and dominate. So I wouldn't be surprised if they wind up winning this by like 2 or 3 touchdowns. But I'm taking Cincinnati. Did you get the Macaulay Culkin reference?
Yeah, I know. I'm there. I'm with you. Chargers apparently looking to Charger as they give 1.5 on the road to Cleveland. I feel like I have to stand by my principles and take the Browns plus 1.5.
This one, I want to ride the wave with Jameis. I really want to ride the wave with Jameis. But I am the Chargers believer here, especially with how good that defense is. Because Jameis has been able to throw it all over the place, but he's historically always had picks. And we don't have to rely on Eli Apple for them at this point. So give me the Chargers because they have players that can do the job, especially with Derwin James getting an extra bye week of healing and everything else that goes along with that defense that's been great.
Your nap games on one hand, you have Chargers Browns. On the other, you have New England Tennessee.
No, that's the coma. That's the Rip Van Winkle of games.
Tennessee giving 3.5. Would you like to guess the over-under here?
For Tennessee and New England?
Uh-huh.
I feel like I got to set it at like 34.
You're very close. It's 38.
No, that's still way too high. I will still take the this is one of those games I would be looking for a prop bet of who scores more points, LeBron James or this entire game.
I mean, give me Tennessee plus 3. Give me New England plus 3.5.
The only thing they have here is but the thing is they're wondering if Drake May will be able to get cleared to come back. But Jacoby Brissett, we have long been defenders of. Jacoby Brissett is not bad. He's not great, but he's not bad. He's about the perfect guy to have as a backup quarterback. He will execute while not being a threat to your QB1. And 3.5 is too much. I mean, I want to roll with you on New England, but there's a part of me that wants to think Tennessee is good, and then I remember Mason Rudolph is playing ahead of Will Levis. Give me the Patriots.
MetLife Stadium hosts the other team in that town on Sunday. Yeah. I'm good. Why wouldn't I be? Was something wrong?
Oh no, you were frozen, and then you were frozen. So it looked like you were just checking your watch for like 3 minutes.
Oh wow, crazy. MetLife Stadium,
whatever you were just saying about whatever, I don't know what you just said.
MetLife Stadium hosts the other team in that town as Football Club plays the Giants. Football Club's giving them 4. By the way, good luck getting one of the black Jaden Daniels jerseys, because Chick said this morning he's finally broke down and bought one, but he had to buy the burgundy one because you can't get the black ones, which I think those black outfits are amazing. Big fan.
Yes, they are. Well, here's the other interesting thing. I saw a report, whether it's accurate or not, after that Hail Mary, every single Jaden Daniels jersey in that stadium was purchased on the way out.
Not shocked.
Not an exaggeration. They ran out of jerseys at the stadium.
And give me football club -4.
Yes, Washington only beat, quote unquote, the Giants earlier this year by a few. But you know what the Giants are the worst in the league at, besides most everything? Stopping the run. They're giving up 6.2 yards a carry over their last, I want to say, 6 games. So allow me to run through this list for you. Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson, Jeremy McNichols, Jaden Daniels. Guess what? I'll be betting on all of them.
Yeah.
Give me the commies.
New Orleans goes to Carolina and is giving them a touchdown. Give me the Saints.
Look at their week 1. Derek Carr should be back. Chris Olave, kudos to him openly saying, you know what, we should probably all be wearing Guardian caps, and saying that he will probably start wearing one. This might be the best situation for a team that has looked bad, because playing Carolina feels like a get-right game for everyone above the Pee Wee level.
I hate that we have to say that, but it's true.
Yeah.
Denver goes to M&T Bank Stadium. Baltimore giving 8.5. I don't know how I feel about the game.
If I may, I'll jump on the lead for this one. Baltimore has not looked great because they have had a banged-up secondary, and the teams that have been able to beat them are ones with talented quarterbacks. Now, I like Bo Nix.
As do I.
He is still a rookie who dumps off at best 99% of the time. So, most of what they do is run and play defense. Baltimore is a very good offense who can overcome a good defense. Their offense isn't going to be able to just run through the Ravens like they have on their other wins. It's going to be close. This feels like a backdoor cover, but I'm going to take the Ravens.
8.5 just seems generous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to take Denver plus the 8.5.
I don't hate it. The 8.5 is a really good number, because you look at it, we both look at it and we go, and we take opposite sides. That's a good number.
Yep. Philly hosting Jacksonville and giving them 7.5.
Which Jacksonville shows up?
Yeah, I'm going to take Philly. I don't have any. Oh, looks like we got a turnover by the Jets.
Yeah, I didn't see the play. What was that number again?
7.5.
That's a lot. For a Philly team that only beat Cleveland by 4 at their worst. Yep, that strip and recovery. For a Philly team that only beat the worst version of Cleveland by 4, 7.5, especially with that hook. This is the one where even if I am down 2 touchdowns going into the fourth quarter, I'm still confident because it's a backdoor cover waiting to happen. Give me the opposite side.
Chicago is getting 1 at Arizona. Give me Chicago. I think they win this. Sooner or later, Arizona, I just don't have a lot of faith in the Cardinals. Sooner or later, we're going to see who Arizona is. And Chicago is starting to put the wheels on.
I feel like we are seeing who Arizona is, and they are proving my preseason wrong. I said that their offense was going to be good, and it has been at times. I said their defense was going to be atrocious. Gannon has those guys playing above their pay grade. Budda Baker's still great, but everybody is playing well. This is going to be a very interesting matchup for me. This is one of those games where I don't know that it's going to be interesting to everybody because I don't expect there to be a lot of scoring. But I think it's going to be interesting to see the matchups, to see how it goes. I agree that Chicago should win by a field goal. But Arizona has just been doing everything to win, even if it's by last-second field goals every time. I mean, what is it? 3 weeks in a row, Chad Ryland has won the game with a field goal?
And every time you say Buda Baker, all I can hear is Buddha, 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 rocking everywhere. Moving on.
You're not wrong.
Detroit goes to
the frozen tundra of Lambeau.
Detroit's giving 2.5.
Not enough.
It ain't enough.
Especially since we don't know if Jordan Love is playing.
Detroit is a freight train right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is what they're doing right now is, unless you live in the Motor City, there's no way that you saw this. Now, granted, all of us have picked them to win the NFC. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think we saw it on this level.
This was my Super Bowl winner.
But I'm just saying, I don't know that we saw dominance on this level.
Well, if I may, please feel free to go back to our archives, look at our preseason, and I clarified exactly why this is what we were going to see based on the indoor games, based on that. Now, granted, I expected Jared Goff to be playing even better than he is right now, but the running game has picked it up and then some. Now, their defense, I am more concerned with right now because they have not filled the Aiden Hutchinson gap. I am very, very interested in November 5th for the trade deadline to see if they do anything to try and fill in that other defensive end position or outside linebacker, depending on which form or which layout they're in. I'm very curious to see if they're going to do anything with that because, you know, beating up on Tennessee in one game isn't exactly brag-worthy. So this is going to be the real game that tells them if they need to do something at that spot.
Rams go to Seattle and are giving Seattle a point.
You know what? This one feels like it's a reactionary to how the Rams played last Thursday. But this is also one of those games where you look at it, the Rams are getting extra days because they played Thursday and then shifting into a Sunday game. So they have a few extra days to rest, recover, prep. And Sean McVay is a great coach. They went ham on it last week, talking about how he has more guys going from his tree into being head coaches than anyone else right now. And they deserve it because they're coming out educated and good.
They only got to lose by 1, so give me the Rams.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Rams on that one just because better preparation, more time.
I'm sorry, they got to win by 1.
This one could go either way.
Sunday Night Football, Colts at Vikings, Minnesota giving 5.5 against 748-year-old Joe Flacco.
Pride of the Blue Hens, Joe Flacco.
I like Joe Flacco. How is he doing?
I do too. I mean, all he does is he is what we thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be. That's not an exaggeration. Now, the reason I would not be taking Minnesota, and much to the chagrin of Mike Kukla, the thing they haven't been able to do because of select injuries is stop the run. That's why they've just been getting housed by everybody. And that's why Kyren Williams went nuts. And when you have an all-world runner like Jonathan Taylor and Flacco, who is smart enough to adjust the run, to check into something else, depending on the defensive front, if they load the box, this feels like a perfect storm for Indianapolis to not only cover, but potentially pull the upset on Minnesota.
I'll take Minnesota minus the 5.5.
I will take Indy with the plus 5.5. I think they still lose, but I think they cover.
Monday Night Football, Tampa Bay goes to Arrowhead. KC's giving them 9.
That's too many. It's too many. Tampa Bay is going to have to figure out what their pass receivers look like. But you know what they have done over the last couple of weeks since the injuries? Utilized McMillan, utilized Sterling Shepard, made Cade Otton look like prime Gronkowski. They're getting it done. Baker's a good player. That team is well coached. I just feel like, no, I don't think Tampa Bay wins this one in Kansas City, but I think it's too many points, and I think they cover.
I'll go the other way just to do it.
I feel like we've had more opposite sides this week than every other week combined.
All right. Want to say
as I get a message that just says Aaron Rodgers is garbage. All but one of those words was spelled wrong. Can you guess which one?
Congratulations to the Dodgers, Misty's beloved Dodgers, winning the World Series. Freddie Freeman, you're welcome. But did you see the weird stat that came out of the World Series?
Which one? There's been a slew of them.
In the last 5 straight World Series,
there
has been a player named Will Smith.
Well, it's only been 2 players.
But still, 5 straight.
Yes, the last 5. No, it's not even in the last 5 World Series. It's the last 5 World Series champions.
So I was just like, and I was like, the last 3 are the same guy for sure. But I was like,
Nope.
yeah, why not? Is it? It looks like the same guy in the last 3.
Nope. 5 years ago was the catcher for the Dodgers. The last 3 has been the reliever, the left-handed reliever that was on 3 different teams. And then this year is Will Smith, the catcher again.
Oh, okay. Bookends.
Yep.
All right.
But you know what? Will Smith, the pitcher, deserves every one of those years too, because he was a key cog every single time.
Let's get into TV talk and stuff we watched this week. TV edition. I got nothing new.
I don't have anything new. I'm ramping up to get back to What We Do in the Shadows for their final season. I can tell you right now, my own homework assignment is going to be that first half of Cobra Kai.
Because of an email that came in this week? Or that came in today?
No, just because I've been meaning to get to it, and now I'm prompted since the second half lands halfway through November.
BET Plus has renewed the Ms. Pat show for season 5. Ms. Pat is a
Didn't
Bob
they change the name of that?
No, she has 2 shows.
No. I mean BET. I thought they changed their name.
No, BET Plus is their streaming service.
Right, but I thought they rebranded as something else.
That's what it showed up in the headline I read today.
No, that's okay. I very easily can be wrong.
CBS has given a full season order to the spinoff of Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, which is the spinoff of Young Sheldon, which is the spinoff of The Big Bang Theory.
It looks very funny.
In very interesting news, come 2027, after 54 years, the Grammys will not be on CBS.
That just feels weird.
From 2027 to 2036, it will be showing on Disney Plus, ABC, and Hulu.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
The modern world.
I'm like you. That feels weird to me because that's longer than I've been alive. Not by much. Yeah. NBC/Peacock has said season 3 of The Traitors will debut January 9th. I've heard good things, but I've never watched it.
You know, the first season had me intrigued because a big focal point was one of the shows I have been trying to get you to give a shot to in the longest time with The Challenge. And it still didn't get me. I mean, Alan Cummings as a host is a phenomenal casting choice.
Big fan.
Yeah.
We have SNL news.
Never hit me.
The last 3 election cycles. The SNL after Election Day, and by the way, go vote. Go vote, go vote, go vote.
Absolutely.
The last 3 election cycles, that SNL after Election Day has been Dave Chappelle. It is not this go round, and I think you'll enjoy who it's going to be. November 9th. By the way, this week, John Mulaney's your host.
Oh.
Next week,
love John Mulaney.
Your musical guest is I don't even know how to say this, MK.GEE. Is that supposed to be Mick G, but not the director? Or Mike G?
I don't know. I don't know who that is.
But your host is one Bill Burr.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thought you'd like that.
Under 3 bits with him is Tim Carville.
I love him. I'm such a fan. And then November 16th,
Oh my gosh.
Charlie XCX will be pulling double.
If there is somebody who is uncancelable.
November 16th, Charlie XCX doing double duty for SNL. Which I like her. She does good work. Oh, Alex. Okay, I think he's back now. He was frozen and out. Also debuting this week. I've watched it. Are you a fan of the NPR Tiny Desk concerts?
I'm not even familiar with this.
So NPR has a series, and it's in one of the floors of their building. They've been doing this for a while.
Okay.
It's just called the Tiny Desk Concert, and it's a room with a tiny desk, and then there's a bunch of people off camera, and they run about 20, 30 minutes. Dua Lipa has the latest one, and she does a great job. But like Adele's done this, Edge and Bono have done this. During the pandemic, they did it from home. Ed Sheeran did it.
Sorry, you're going too far. Do they sit at the desk and perform, or why?
They're right behind
What's the deal with the tiny desk?
I don't know where the origin of the tiny desk is. I have to do research on that.
No. I just wanted to make sure that the tiny desk was actually like where they were sitting and not like a judge of some kind or whatever else. So the desk gives them something if they have instruments to set on and whatnot.
No, the desk just sits there.
Oh, okay. Weird.
But it's very stripped down, almost acoustic, but not quite. Very good. Like I said, the newest one's Dua Lipa, and she does a lot of stuff off the new album. And there's some language in there. Just be aware. Let's see. Netflix has renewed their Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft for season 2. This is the animated series that features I just lost her name. Peggy Carter.
Haley Atwell.
She is the voice of Lara Croft.
Okay. Well, I'm going to need to know how to pronounce it for our wedding later. And probably for our divorce.
TV on DVD and Blu-ray on Tuesday. The Apartment 7A, which is the prequel to Rosemary's Baby, will be available. Season 1 of the Orphan Black spinoff Echoes. Season 3 of Mayor of Kingstown. Seasons 1 through 3 of Bluey. And the Blu-ray release of the complete series of I Love Lucy. Let's go to stuff we watched this week. Movie edition. Only movie I watched we're going to talk about here in a little while. I know you've been doing Halloween movies all month, so
I feel like I want to do both of these, but I need to temper myself so as to not swear. The Halle Berry-led Never Let Go is absolute garbage. It is the dumbest ripoff of Bird Box ever made for stupid people. And you know what? I would usually be I'm going to tread very lightly, so I apologize in advance. I would usually be more interested in a movie that wants to take religion to town indirectly. But when it's done so flaccid and boring and stupid, I just don't think it should exist. Now, on the other hand, I had high hopes for The Crow. The new Crow. With Bill Skarsgård.
Skarsgård.
He is a phenomenal talent. This movie was so boring. And all the things that the original or the first run of The Crow with Brandon Lee was not. The music was terrible. The story was terrible. The overly attempted artistic violence was dumb. And the funny part is watching it, I looked at Sean and the exact words I said was, the last 2 movies this guy did was this and Boy Kills World. Neither are good, but at least Boy Kills World is a lot of stupid fun. This was just... So don't watch either of those. Just save yourself the trouble. If anybody wants to tell you that Never Let Go is good, they are not your friend. They are an idiot. If somebody wants to tell you that you just don't get The Crow, they are a pretentious fool.
I read the Wikipedia. I read the Wikipedia page for Never Let Go, and
it is like there is literally nothing redeemable about that movie. The acting is terrible. The story is terrible. The effects are terrible. I honestly was just, I've never been watching a movie where I was just like, man, I would really like to go blind and deaf right now, so I never have to see the rest of this. And honestly, if I ever heard anybody who had a positive thing to say about this, I would immediately strike their opinion from the record on all things forever.
We do want to send our deepest out. Lost a legend this past week, and Terry Garr.
Yes.
At 79. I have
Did you
been
see this?
forever.
Did you see the statement from Mel Brooks?
I did not.
It was so incredibly sweet, as Mel Brooks would. He just wanted to say, like, what a talent she was, how she was a legend. But first and foremost, you have to base it on what you know. And nobody made it a more enjoyable, according to him, nobody made it a more enjoyable experience to work on Young Frankenstein than Terry Garr, and her positivity and her interacting with everybody and just all of the positive things you hope to hear about people.
Loved her in Mr. Mom. Yeah. Mr. Mom, one of my favorite movies from when I was a kid. And there is not another human on the planet that could be Phoebe Buffay's mom than Terry Garr. It's that simple.
That is a good point.
She will be missed.
Yes.
Spider-Man 4 is now set for July 2026, and it will be 2 months after Avengers Doomsday.
I am intrigued by that.
So we're going to see.
Do you think that there is something in Doomsday that leads to that?
Absolutely, because who's playing Doom?
That's what I was feeding.
Yeah.
Even though I still think the ending of that, is it a spoiler if you just make a really good prediction?
It's been long enough now.
Okay, because you and I have talked about it, and I still feel like Doomsday ends with the real Doom.
I agree.
And the other one turning out to be a multiverse version.
Yeah. Not the 616.
Mm-hmm.
Jumanji 3 now coming December 11th of 2026. Dwayne, I know, is on board, but I've heard everybody else is in too. Prime Video doing a Jack Ryan film, and John Krasinski is coming back.
Yeah, I saw this. I'm very intrigued, especially since wasn't the idea of Jack Ryan continuing one of the ones that was initially killed when they were first talking about shutting down the studios? Because I believe that was a Paramount Studio TV as well.
Maybe.
I could be wrong, because I know Reacher is a Paramount TV that is getting picked up there.
We're getting a sequel to the Apple TV Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Monaghan, The Family Man.
You know, I didn't hear anything bad about it. I heard it wasn't good, but it was worth the while.
I might check it out. And Jaume Collet-Serra, this is the director of The Shallows, Unknown, House of Wax, and Orphan, is rebooting Cliffhanger with Lily James and Pierce Brosnan.
I didn't need anything else. You tell me it's Lily James, I'm in. That woman does not make bad stuff.
I will say that Cliffhanger has provided one of the greatest comments made by a friend of mine in a movie theater ever. And it wasn't during Cliffhanger. So do you remember the Bruce Willis Color of Night?
Yep.
Which has been done on HDTGM. And at the very end where he goes and he's on the cruise grabs my buddy Andy right next to me. Stallone would have dropped her. I came unglued. I was like, you, sir, are a genius. So that was Andy Snyder, my boy. I think he lives in the Northeast now. So
see, the one I always think of with that is Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, with the raccoon. And you just that complete rip of Cliffhanger and
Movie new releases and places you get movie new releases this week. Juror number 2, which is allegedly the final film from Clint Eastwood, is the current rumor. We have a movie called Blitz with Saoirse Ronan. And the kid in this, I heard 70 different ways to say it. It follows the stories of a group of Londoners during the events of the British Capitol bombing of World War II. The kid in this, Harris Dickinson, already getting Oscar buzz.
Oh, Harris Dickinson's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want proof of that, go back to Iron Claw.
The Carpenter also this week. An adopted Viking orphan becomes a carpenter's apprentice to the Jesus. The orphan Orin fights as a side. He fights as a side hustle. So this is kind of a thing. And his experience training as a carpenter with Jesus as his mentor changes his lifestyle. So you got that going for you. We have the Liam Neesons.
Oh,
is back.
So he has another album too.
An aging gangster attempts to reconnect with his children and rectify the mistakes in his past, but the criminal underworld won't loosen their grip willingly. Ron Perlman's in this.
Is it because he has a particular set of skills?
Javier Molina's in this.
Oh my God! Tell me he did that.
Yep, that is not a touchdown.
Oh, the Jet's gonna jet.
Also this week, an animated film called Hit Pig, where a bounty hunter pig finds himself trekking the globe with a free-spirited elephant he intended to capture. So is this like...
I have no idea, but I'm in.
Is this like Midnight Run for kids?
I honestly, the first thing I thought of, have you seen Hit Monkey?
I have not.
Okay, I cannot describe this to you. I need you to just look up
Hit Monkey. I've heard of it.
Okay. That's what popped into my head was the animated Hit Monkey, which is apparently like, oh, it's a kid's. Nope, ultra violent.
In this movie are Andy Serkis, Jason Sudeikis in the title role, Rainn Wilson, RuPaul, Lily Singh, the singer Anita with 2 T's, Hannah Gadsby, and Flavor Flav is in this.
Tell me if Flavor Flav's the elephant.
Also this week, the very
Hit Pig does or says anything, you just hear, yeah, boy.
The very aptly titled Lost on a Mountain in Maine.
Spoiler alert, it takes place in Oregon.
Stallone actually produced this. This is a kid. Apparently, it's based on a true story of a 12-year-old boy who, separated from his family by a fast-moving storm, must fight to stay alive during his 9-day adventure lost in the backwoods of Maine.
Interesting. It sounds an awful lot like, do you remember The Hatchet?
I do not.
Okay, it was a book we had to read during elementary school to middle school where, similar to I believe it was the sequel to Call of the Wild, where a kid gets stranded with just a hatchet and has to survive.
The big release this week is a movie called Here. This is the latest from Robert Zemeckis, starring Tom Hanks and Robin Wright. This is based on a 300-page graphic novel that started as a comic strip in 1989.
Weird.
This is basically the evolution of a plot of land. One camera stays there's no movement by the camera. It's a thing. It's not bad. It's not bad. In my review, currently located at www.theclubhousepodcast.com.
That's our website.
I basically said, like, take Disney's Carousel of Progress and make it huge.
Oh, wow.
That's basically what this is. Visually gorgeous. There's a couple of reasons for me to say I'd like to see a 3D version of this because of the way the transitions are done. But it's going to wind up in the middle of the pack for me. So, movies on DVD and Blu-ray this week. Your HD TGM from 2 weeks ago, Trap, available. Strange Darling, which I've heard is very dark but very, very good.
You know what? I still want to see this. But Trap is available on Max now, I believe.
Okay. I just lost her name. Ryan Reynolds' wife? Blake Lively.
Blake Lively.
Her latest, It Ends With Us, available this week. Kevin Smith's latest, the 4:30 movie, which I have pre-ordered. It will be here this coming week as well. Alex mentioned the 2024 Crow. You got Blink Twice, which is the Channing Tatum film. You Gotta Believe, which is pseudo faith-based. It's
written and directed by Zoe Kravitz.
Mm-hmm. That's Blink Twice. The doc special this week is Catnado. Alex is on a little bit of a delay right now. Why not?
It's not my side. I'm just telling you.
I don't know, dude. I'm not doing anything.
No. What I'm saying is I'm not hearing what you're saying periodically, and then you're catching up in rapid succession, so I don't know what the words are.
Oh, okay. That's you do that sometimes too. And I listen and something. All right, I know where he is now. The documentary based on the movie The Monster Squad called Wolfman's Got Nards gets its own release this week.
It.
A documentary called 1982, The Greatest Geek Year Ever, which I'm very interested in. The Steelbook of John Wick, Titans of Cult. Anything John Wick, I'm good to go. A Steelbook for Escape from New York. Krampus, The Naughty Cut gets a Steelbook release this week. The 85th anniversary theater edition of The Wizard of Oz, and the Criterion Collection has the original Godzilla, even though they already have the box set. And now this.
Nice.
It is time for the Cheap Popcast, your one-stop shop for all things pro wrestling. Let us dive right in. Bound for Glory was a thing. You have a new Knockouts champion in Masha Slamovich, who was also featured on this week's Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Where did I miss this?
During the song at the end, she's in one of the shots. She's in like a red sequined outfit, leaning on a truck.
I did not realize that was her.
That is Masha Slamovich.
That was her. I was so captivated by trying to figure out who the luchador was.
Oh, it was a great episode. And new tag champs in the Hardys. A couple of rough things from the tapings the next night. Chris Bay was injured, has had neck surgery. There is a GoFundMe to help with his medical bills. And TNA is also releasing a limited edition t-shirt.
Pro Wrestling Tees has a We Heart Bay t-shirt as well with those funds going forward.
Also injured at the tapings was El Hijo del Vikingo. Injured his leg, but he's on crutches. Also found out that their pay-per-view Genesis in January is returning. January 19th at a little place called the Colwell Center.
Really?
Yep. And then the following week's Impact will be live.
Yeah, and remember, because we've had multiple years of Hard to Kill at that exact same time, but it was always at the factory.
Mm-hmm. So this will be at the Colwell. It's either going to be Dynamite or it's going to be New Japan. It's going to be one of the two.
Depends on how it's roped off.
Reality of Wrestling is now part of WWE's. Reality of Wrestling now part of WWE's independent development program called WWE ID, along with Seth Rollins' Black and Brave Academy in Iowa, the Elite Pro Wrestling Training Center, and Knox KNOKX Pro Academy in LA. So it's kind of them fostering some independent wrestlers. I mean, I like the concept. I want to see how it works out.
The internet being what it is, people are like, oh, indie should get more love. Not like that. Not like that. Shut up and pick a lane. Yeah. It's good. It's good that these people get seen by the biggest company on the planet.
Crown Jewel is this Saturday. Alex and I need to talk about that off air.
Is there anything you care about on this show? Because I can't find anything.
We'll talk about it off air.
Sounds good.
There is something I care about. Senior Tucky has retired. He is coaching his kids' wrestling team in high school, and that's kind of what he wanted to do. So, Your next
if
MSG
you're happy, we're happy.
Yep, your next MSG show will be the day after Christmas. So get ready for that.
And they traditionally have one around that time in Madison Square Garden, do they not?
Right around there. I want to do the notes for the week of WWE, but I have a discussion point that I've been holding on to. From SmackDown and new tag champs and Motor City Machine Guns, I thought that might have been a little quick, but I love those guys, and I'm glad to see them succeeding.
I really thought, because my note on that one was literally, how much do you want to bet? Because I said this to Sean. How much do you want to bet Rob starts this with somebody's listening to the show? Based on my diatribe about facing DIY and then facing.
From Raw, Rhea Ripley is out with an orbital bone injury. It is unknown how long she will be before she can return.
Reports are that it's an actually different injury, but the orbital is telling the story so that people can understand, because most people are just like, oh, well, it's just a sprained ankle. I could tape up. No, if you have an orbital fracture,
I thought the orbital was an actual injury.
From what reports have been saying from multiple outlets is that this is the story for a legitimate injury, but this is not the legitimate injury.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And Liv Morgan has re-upped for another 5 years.
Good for her.
And another Sammy misdirection angle. Yeah.
Maybe. I was intrigued by this. I liked it. You know what I really liked? I liked everybody doubting Dom. I loved it.
The Havoc was a thing. It was good to see Gigi Dolan back in the intro. And new North American Women's Champion in Fallon Henley, but for how long?
As long as it's not on that spare Kalani Jordan. I do not care. She can do all her gymnastics, but she's as interesting as watching paint dry if it's not a bright color.
Here's my question.
But the big note I have there is you can tell they desperately want her to be something by lining up all these incredibly talented women and then sticking Kalani Jordan on the end. It's like, one of these things is not like the others.
I really thought that match was going to be your women's War Games instead of the 10-woman tag on Wednesday, because NXT's on Wednesday this week because they didn't want to compete with election coverage.
Well, I kind of think that we might get that still. I kind of feel like we might wind up getting multiple War Games matches beyond our normal multiple where NXT gets lumped in. Or this becomes your traditional Survivor Series match and they fill out the major with NXT talent as well.
Or you have an NXT plea, do like the whole weekend, like Stand and Deliver.
True. But then you'd have to think about how you would do it, because you don't want to be redundant. Unless they want to test things for War Games the next night.
Come January, we know that Raw will be moving to Netflix and going back to 3 hours. We also have heard that will be the first Monday.
Yes.
We also know, actually, I think it's the 6th is that Monday.
I'll take a look.
The first is a Wednesday. We also have heard rumor that at that point, SmackDown is going to go 3 hours as well. My question is, with both of those shows going 3 hours, does it diminish the specialness of a plea?
I feel like the
Havoc
pleas
was
have
2.5 hours. Havoc was 2.5 hours.
But what I'm saying is I don't think that that's new. I feel like the pleas had already been diminished for a very long time. So what you have is a situation where we already get so much that unless you're a Mania or a Rumble, even a SummerSlam didn't feel special. It just feels like another episode in a larger venue. But one of the things that H has been doing is trying to find ways to make these shows special. Unfortunately, ones like this Saturday are really only special because of the check that they get cut. But name me a plea that felt special in the last 5 years.
The one
that wasn't a major.
Okay.
That wasn't a major or self-biased.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Now, I understand where you're coming from because that's going to be a lot. And what I would be more interested in seeing in this scope is find a way to make. We talked about this before. I'm gonna system reset my words. We talked about this in the past where the TV set up the buys for the pay-per-views at that time.
Especially your go-home.
When the network came about and had the model changed, it was almost like that was the advertisement for tune into Raw and see what happens. Now it's just, how do we separate these things? I don't have an issue with them doing more because I feel like that'll get more talent, some exposure, and some more TV time. But they need to do something to make the please feel special. And as much as we love the idea of the entire weekend taking place in one location because it saves time, money, effort, all of those things, I need them, and it's one of the things that I noticed about Dynamite, so put a pin in that. I need these stages to look special. I need these shows to demonstrate why they matter. Give me a reason that this is different. Because if you're just going to use the Raw set or the SmackDown set or just have the walkout so you can fit more seats in, allow me to put it in this context. If you're going to do that at the 2300 Arena or Hammerstein, I can roll with you on that. If it's supposed to be a big show, give me the big Tron. Give me the tables, ladders, and chairs hanging all over the place. Give me the Armageddon set where everything is demolished. Give me the old Backlash set with the big hook. I don't care.
The Bad Blood set that had the inflatable blood drops, which I watched a Wrestling with Regret on that last week.
And bring back the SmackDown fists.
That's in a warehouse. AEW Willow Nightingale has a concussion after her latest CMLL show. We wish her well. I see one of two things happening right now after Dynamite. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Shout out to Ruby Soho and Angelo Parker. They have welcomed a daughter named Evie. So congratulations to those kids. From Collision, is Orange Cassidy now Sting? Is that what we're doing?
It's funny that you say that because they went out of their way to try and distract from that. Boy, was that why is this show so bad? Why is AEW so bad at getting the camera on what they're supposed to see? Instead, it looks like a giant fluffy tea bag coming down the other side of a ring. And then Darby being Darby. And
we'll get to that because that was Dynamite. We'll get to that here in a minute. But
you said Dynamite.
No, I said Collision.
You said speaking of Dynamite, is Orange Cassidy Sting?
Not what I meant. But I was going back to Collision, and I feel like we're setting him up to be Sting because he's the reluctant hero, and there's this other faction. And
see, my problem with that is I don't remember Sting being reluctant. I don't know if that, reluctant is the right word, but it's more along the lines of because you have Cassidy now talking, Sting was always present. And it was one of those where I don't know what I want to do, but I know I'm going to do something. And Cassidy's in that same vein, but it's more along the lines of, why is nobody else stepping up? I'm the guy they call Pockets. Why are we not? And it feels weirder to me, but yes, it is in that same vein.
But if you look at the origins of Crow Sting, the last words he said for a year and a half was, "You can all stick it." And it became this, like, I really don't want to have to be the one that takes Hogan out and takes down the NWO, but eventually I will embrace this role and I will do the thing. And that's kind of where I feel like we're going.
We know the Sheik was always right about Hulk Hogan.
To Dynamite. Speaking, we were talking about Darby Allin. We've
already got it set up, so yes.
Another odd table break. Did you not?
I laughed way too hard at that.
Yeah. Just
no, I did. I laughed incredibly hard at that. Because here's the thing I thought was going to happen because he was still hooked up. I thought the table was going to give way and he was just going to swing to the back wall.
Good Lord. And new tag champs in Private Party. Kind of did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely
now
on
let's bring back. I will say there is one thing that match, it was a very good match. Kudos to the Bucks, who have consistently put Private Party over as a bigger deal, and they have shown us no reason not to. But they did something that I hate, and I need to know if I'm turning into old man Alex with this.
Okay.
Both sets of ring gear were basically Peacock inspired. Like there was no. And I'm not saying that one team needs to wear red and one team needs to wear blue or something like that, but the gear was so closely related, it didn't work well in my brain.
There
were times like, yes, I can easily tell which team is Teep. Yeah. If you want to let them be, look, allow me to paint this picture. Private Party has always been the flamboyant party guys.
Mm-hmm.
If the Bucks are already coming out in the full peacock and pearls, like, which is supposed to be annoying and it works, have Private Party come out in all black. Have them come out in jeans and Timberlands. Have them come out all business. Now, that is another segue that I could use, but
there is a bullet point between that and where we're going.
I hated. I hate what they did for this. So I will save my gripe session until we get to the end.
I know that Jamie Hayter is doing this 70s vibe, but that outfit last night was full on Daphne from Scooby-Doo. Prove me wrong.
Well, she did Velma. She did Velma 2 weeks ago.
This
was 100% Daphne Blake.
I'm still getting used to it. It's still not settling with me, and I don't know why. And then at the end of the show,
I love it. I loved so much of it.
Enter Bobby Lashley, which we've known, although they tried to misdirect us, we've known he's been signed. Allegedly was supposed to happen at Wrestle Dream, but they wanted Bryan Danielson to have the moment versus Swerve, which I get. I understand.
I get that.
I liked what MVP said at the end as the tease for what's going to happen. I think I know what you're thinking, that maybe your tag team champions join what is now being called the Hurt Syndicate. No? Okay. You have the floor.
I'm going to gripe in a different... No, I'm going to gripe in a different way, but I want to let you finish.
That was where I was going to say. Like, I like how they ended it. I wouldn't be shocked if Private Party does join the Hurt Syndicate. But if you do that, what do you do with Stokely? But I also believe, and I said one of two things is going to happen before, but I'm sorry, because I'm going to lose this again if I'm going to forget. One of two things is about to happen on a different subject. You're either going to have Statlander and Camille in a tag team and they're going to run roughshod over everybody, or Willow comes back in and it's Camille and Sasha Banks versus the two of them. But yeah, please go ahead with your fantasy booking.
I think your more likely scenario is Willow comes in as your best frenemies with Chris Statlander, because for Willow, the easy storytelling there is fair with 2-on-2. Chris already proved that she could beat Camille. She's just out there, but they're not right. It's like, I'm not going to forget what you did to me, but I'm first up at this belt because I had your back, kind of thing.
Fair
Lazy
enough.
story booking, but it always works. Okay. The gripe session.
The floor is yours.
I have been a big defender of Private Party. I have long said I almost broke your back with their theme music. But the big problem I have there is the same thing I've always said. Bobby Lashley is overrated. He is uninteresting. He fits better with a mouthpiece who can talk for him. He was not a big enough pop for that to be the close. That should have been your mid-show pop. Have people go, oh, Bobby Lashley did finally show up. I better tune in. And then Private Party gets their big pop at the end. And if you want to look at something interesting, go back, listen to the sound when Private Party finally wins versus the sound when Lashley comes out. They both got pops. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that maybe it was 50% for Bobby. That was a solid 90%er for Private Party. That should have been the close. Now, here's where my other part comes in with that. Bobby Lashley is a good person. I have nothing against Bobby Lashley, the human. He's third best in a group of three. He is better than him. Shelton Benjamin has always been wildly underrated. That was not a big enough close for me. I don't have an issue with him being there. I don't have an issue with the Hurt Syndicate because, as we have both said for many years, the Hurt business was one of the biggest dropped balls for WWE during that time frame because they were the best thing going and it wasn't close.
Yep.
This 100% should have been Private Party's night. And for some reason, they had it in their mind that the big signee has to close. Now, when you had Adam Cole.
Baby.
This doesn't work when we have a delay. When you had Bryan Danielson, when you had guys like that showing up, that made sense to close. Bobby Lashley has never been the best guy on any roster he's ever been on, even when he was Bellator champion. He's a good guy, a phenomenal specimen as a muscle-bound human. I would rather watch anybody else in that rings match over his. Give me an MVP match. Give me a Shelton Benjamin match. Give me a Swerve match. Give me a Prince Nana match over Bobby Lashley. He does not move the needle like they presented. Exactly. Oh, no.
Swerve's not dry. I mean, I'm gonna hold on to judgment because I want to see where this goes.
Oh, no. And I get that. But what I'm saying is Bobby Lashley has never done anything in his career to justify being the closer like that. Especially if, let me put it this way. If Private Party loses and they have to disband, I get it. But when you have a moment like that, let's call it the tag team pillar of AEW, finally getting the belts, that should be your close. That should be the thing to send them home happy. Instead, we got Bobby Lashley.
I'm also surprised that we did that.
Botched Bobby Lashley, by the way.
Yeah, that we did the tag belts this week because what starts next week and the week after?
I'm going to need you to be more specific with me on that one.
Sweeps.
That is a valid point.
I'm surprised they didn't save that moment for sweeps. Not next week because you're going head to head with NXT in the 2300 arena, but the week after that. That's when I would have done it.
Honestly, what do you think about if you did it next week to try and combat? Put out everything on social about the end of Private Party. Go all the way back to their Hog Wrestling days. Go to House of Glory. Go to everything with them starting up. Build it like it's a pay-per-view main event. And then put it up against NXT. If you're afraid of that, okay, I get it. But I think that would have been my hammer to try and give it to NXT and take their viewers away.
I think the problem that you have with that at this point in the game, not enough of the fan base had enough faith. Like me, like I said, it kind of surprised me. The fact that those belts moved, I don't think you don't want to go up against somebody else at this point in the game because there's not enough faith of people thinking those belts were going to move, that it was just going to be another build up to letdown.
That's fair. But for me, I'm the combative in that point. I had a very long discussion earlier today about why is AEW failing? And I keep going back to the same thing. Yes, some creative should be off of talent and TK. There should be something more. But the biggest thing for them is they look like an amateur, not even an indie, an amateur promotion. They look like a backyard wrestling evolved. The entryway is stale and dated. I know you're a big fan of having the face and heel tunnels, but they need to be done better. This stage sucks. This production team sucks. These camera guys do not know where to look because they don't have an intelligent person telling them where they should be focusing. And we miss shots all the time. It looks amateurish. It needs to be elevated. And please start with giving us that, because the way they told the story through Shivani, through Excalibur, about why Private Party is such a big thing if they have to disband, that was a pay-per-view build. They did a phenomenal job with it. And I was like you, I didn't think we were going to get it with that tease. But the moment we invoked SCU, I knew it was happening. But the way that they built it up to that match, I was like, this can really happen. And I hope it does. And I was incredibly excited when it did, because it was a good match, if not a great match. And then we had the rest of the show.
And they have never put Alex and I on AEW television.
I thought we were on TV once.
It was like a blink.
Yeah, but Justice for Wobble?
Yeah, that was tonight. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that got us covered all around. It's going to be real interesting because we're starting to hit this home stretch to the end of the year. I'm very curious to see under H how that halt of production is going to feel at the end of the year, because we've talked about it before, but we're starting to hit that point. I feel like as soon as we get past Survivor Series, that's what's really going to tell us how it's going to roll.
All right. Over there's a QR code. Scan it. Get all the cool stuff. Now, just this week, we found out that there is a collection here on Patreon where if you just want to listen to the audio version of this show, you have that option now. I got to upload last week's episode and then this week's tomorrow. But if you just want to listen while you're on the go in the car, do it old school. We're cool with that. Or you just make sure you're a subscriber here on Patreon. We got really cool stuff coming in the future. Wait for that. Follow us on your social medias. You can follow me on your social medias if you'd like. Everything is yes, that Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN.
I am Vexploit on all social media. If you'd like to help out the show, please go to ProWrestling.tees. Oh my God, I did the Don. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com/The Cheap Podcast. A lot of different shirt options. But because we are also company men, what you need to do, not only go to the Patreon and see us, we got another live show happening right now at Smoky Rose in Dallas with Shippy and Groobs for the Halloween. Ziggy's going to be on there. So check out the Patreon. See everybody's all the way through to Your Dark Companion. We got a lot of different shows, and it's all for one low price.
It's $5. Have one less latte a month, bro. That's all I'm saying. The official fact checker of the show, who will be back next week, that is Don Ford. You can find him on X Twitter at Igbunu, IGBUNUUU. You can also email him about a remote show. We probably might have some of those coming up. You don't know. He is Don at theclubhousepodcast.com. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. Tell me to go pound sand. I am Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. Charla Marshall is on Pinterest because we are morally obligated to say that. Oh, he's pointing at I was like, what is he doing? I thought it would.
I'm multitasking. Acknowledge the QR code. Go to the website. Acknowledge the QR code. Go to the website.
You're doing the Sammy Callahan thing.
No.
Our normal show every Thursday night.
Thing. You know I don't do that.
8 Eastern, 5 Pacific is your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, and pro wrestling. So until next time, for Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed. Brittany Palmer's taking a little bit of a break from being as active on social media. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. That was the wrong outro. That was the wrong outro, but I don't care.